In a small coastal town, nestled between the cliffs and the sea, where the fog rolled in like a shroud each morning and the waves whispered secrets to the shore, there lived a young woman named Mara. The town was quiet, almost too quiet, as if it held its breath, waiting for something to happen. The people were friendly but reserved, going about their lives with a certain air of caution, as though they were guarding something precious or dangerous. Mara was an outsider, having moved to the town a year ago. She was drawn by its beauty and the peace it seemed to offer. But as she settled in, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. There was a mystery in this town, something hidden beneath the surface, and Mara was determined to uncover it. Mara's cottage sat on the edge of the town, where the cliffs met the sea. Each night, as she lay in bed, she would hear a faint melody drifting through the air, a hauntingly beautiful tune that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The music was soft and ethereal, like the song of a bird, but there were no birds that sang at night, especially not with such an airy and captivating melody. At first, Mara thought she was imagining it, but the song persisted, night after night, always just out of reach, never fully clear. She asked the townsfolk about it, but they all seemed to brush it off or change the subject quickly. It's just the wind, they would say, or the sea makes all kinds of noises at night. But Mara wasn't convinced. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the fog began to roll in, Mara decided to follow the sound. She wrapped herself in a warm coat, grabbed a lantern, and stepped out into the cool night air. The melody was there, faint but persistent, guiding her towards the cliffs. As she walked, the music grew clearer, leading her to a narrow path that wound down the cliffside. The path was treacherous, with loose rocks and sharp drops, but Mara was determined. The closer she got to the bottom, the more the song seemed to envelope her, filling her with a strange mix of longing and fear. Finally, she reached the bottom, where the waves crashed against the rocks, and there, hidden among the shadows, was a small cave. The music was coming from inside. Mara hesitated at the entrance of the cave. Her heart was pounding in her chest. The melody was louder now, more haunting than ever, and it seemed to resonate deep within her. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The light from her lantern casting airy shadows on the wall. The cave was narrow and damp, with a low ceiling that forced her to stoop as she walked. The song grew louder with each step. As she rounded a bend, she saw the source of the music. Sitting on the stone edge, illuminated by a shaft of moonlight that filtered through the cracks in the cave ceiling, was a young woman. Her hair was long and dark, cascading down her back like a waterfall. Her eyes were closed as she sang the haunting melody. She was beautiful, but there was something outerworldly about her, something that sent a chill down Mara's spine. Mara watched in silence, captivated by the song and the singer. The woman seemed unaware of her presence, lost in her music. But as the last notes of the song faded away, the woman's eyes snapped open, and she turned to look directly at Mara. "Who are you?" the woman asked, her voice soft but laced with an undercurrent of danger. "I'm Mara," she replied, her voice trembling. "I heard your song. Have been hearing it every night." The woman's eyes narrowed and she stood up, moving with a fluid grace that seemed almost unnatural. "You shouldn't be here," the woman said, her voice sharper now. "This place is not meant for you." Before Mara could respond, the woman turned and began to walk deeper into the cave, her figure disappearing into the shadows. Mara hesitated, but her curiosity was stronger than her fear. She followed the woman deeper into the darkness. As Mara ventured into the cave, the air grew colder, and the walls seemed to close in around her. The sound of the waves outside faded, replaced by an eerie silence that pressed down on her. She could just make out the figure of the woman ahead of her, moving swiftly through the dark. Finally, she reached a large chamber, and as Mara's eyes adjusted to the dim light, she saw something that made her gasp in horror.